Crafts as a means to an end. Hi, I'm Louise Fouché from OTGrow. Welcome to our YouTube channel and welcome to our series on using crafts in groups. So today we're going to unpack the goal. If I have the goal of the craft activity is only a means to an end, and we're going to have a look at that in more depth. What does that mean if I'm using my crafts in that way? So if you remember from our introductory video or episode, we spoke about 3 questions to ask yourself as I go through this video. First of all, where's the intervention, the therapeutic intervention that I've been trained for and that my client is paying for? Second of all, where is the group intervention? In other words, it's not just everybody on their own. We're doing this together as a group, and I am facilitating the collective. And thirdly, what is the goal that I'm trying to achieve? So as I'm going through the explanation of using your craft as a means to an end, keep asking yourself those questions and see how I answer them throughout this episode. So we know as occupational therapists, when we use crafts, there's always the question, what am I trying to achieve with a craft? And so when I brought the question to you from last week, one of our therapists that asks, please assist me in setting up a program for crafts in my clinic. The problem with that is that often if we say, well, every Monday we're going to be doing mosaics, and every Wednesday we're going to be doing decoupage, and every Friday we have on offer leatherwork, we have put our craft before our goal because there are so many different things I can be achieving with leatherwork or with my decoupage. But it's important to start the other way around. What am I really trying to achieve in this group using this craft? Because it might be that the craft you have selected is not actually the ideal craft for what you're trying to achieve for your goal. So it's to take a step back and say, let's start from the beginning. My goal is. And so I'm going to be giving you some examples of how you can use your crafts as a means to an end. Now, first of all, a disclaimer. These are for clients that are on passive participation and hire using the model of creative ability. In other words, they are already product-centered, they have a complete task concept, and they are trying to fulfill norms. And so we already have an idea of who is the client group that we would be using crafts with when we use it as a means to an end. All right, so that's the first disclaimer just to bring in. The second one is personally, and you can have a different goal. I like to use crafts as pre-vocational skills, the skills that people need to really be able to sustain their work or their productivity. And so I'm going to give you 2 examples here of crafts that I would use and how I would use them as a means to an end. So the one is paper mâché. But we don't start with paper mâché. What is the goal I'm trying to achieve? I'm trying to achieve frustration tolerance. I want to increase my clients' frustration tolerance and possibly their following of instructions. That's the goal I'm trying to achieve. Now I look around and have a look at what is the best craft that I can use that would be able to meet those goals once the client has finished the session. So maybe I'm going to start with paper mache and say, all right, paper mache has elements of frustration tolerance. It's sticky, it's messy, the glue cracks on your hands, it takes a while to dry, the paper often crumbles and folds on itself. So that's really a good activity to use when we are working on frustration tolerance. And maybe I want to add an element in of following instructions. These are the instructions to make the paper mache glue. This is the step 1 you're going to do. Then you've got to take it out and you have to leave it to dry. You have to bring it back in and we're going to put the next layer on and so on. So that is the goal I'm trying to achieve. Increase frustration tolerance or being able to manage frustration. And the second one, following instruction. I've selected my craft. It is paper mache. Now my session starts. Now I explained to my clients, we're going to be doing paper mache. But what we're trying to achieve here is we are trying to achieve the element of increasing your frustration tolerance. And so to say to the clients who find that they struggle with frustration, in what aspect of your life do you struggle with frustration? Mine's with the boss. Mine's with my children when I've just had enough, or I come home, I'm tired from a day's working. Mine is with my significant other when they just don't want to see my point of view, whatever the case may be. So we are getting kind of a problem setting for the clients. The clients are able to start pinpointing where in their life they can be using this skill. Then we can maybe go over in a conversation to say, all right, so how do you at the moment manage your frustration? And we might have one person saying, well, I don't really, I tend to withdraw or sulk, or I just want to cut myself off from anybody, or I tend to fight and become argumentative, whatever the case may be. Now you can say, all right, let's start this activity. And I want you that when you start feeling frustrated, you will A, B, C. And now you can put some strategies in line for our clients to lean into when they are getting frustrated with the paper mache. It might be, I want you to take a step back and just breathe. I want you to say a mantra to yourself, I've got this. Or maybe I want you to ask for help. Maybe that's one of the strategies. And again, as part of the group intervention, maybe you've sat down with a group and said, all right, what are the strategies we can use when we are frustrated, and have the group identify them. Now they're going to get a time in this craft making when they will be able to start practicing these skills and intervention strategies that they have learned. So maybe for the first 20 minutes, everybody is going about and they're starting to feel frustrated. When you see it, you can have the group say, all right, let's just pause for a moment. Who's remembering to go in using the strategies? Which of the strategies are you using at the moment? What is happening in that very moment that makes you forget about these strategies? What is something else we might need to bring in? All right, now we have a discussion around that. And then we allow the group to continue again. So can you see how intervention is happening continuously, talking about the frustration tolerance, and we haven't even touched on the following of instructions, which we can do at the same time. When we are finished, our clients are going to understand why they made a paper mache piggy bank, that it is about more than just making the piggy bank. It is about the strategies and the goals they achieved while they were on this journey of using the craft. So one other one that I could possibly give you an example for, I know there are clinics that use the coloring in mandalas. It was a very big phase. Some of them are still using it. And again, just using that, what are you trying to achieve by having your clients color that in? And where is your intervention? They could be buying a book and from the shops and doing coloring in on their own. So what is the therapeutic intervention you are bringing in here? So maybe you want to say, today we are going to be working on concentration and our attention span. And we might have a discussion of how long is your concentration and where do you use your attention span? Where does it create problems for you? When I chat to somebody, I just don't have the concentration anymore to really truly listen. Or at work, I find that I'm often on my phone scrolling, or the minute somebody says something, my focus is taken off. All right, so today we're going to be coloring in our mandala, but we're actually working on your attention span. The normal attention span is 45 minutes. So I want you to get a feel of how long is your concentration span. So when you notice yourself looking up, have a look at the time and just note that down. And then maybe halfway through, again, we have a discussion around this. How long did you concentrate for? What were problems? I was distracted, movement, sound. All right, now we bring in possibly some interventions. Put on headphones, turn your back, position yourself that you just look at the wall and not outside the window. All these strategies to start working on improving their attention span. And if their attention span was 5 minutes or 10 minutes, 15 minutes, Let's try and see if we can stretch it now to 17 or 20 minutes. So the minute you feel that you want to actually look up, just tell yourself to focus. And I'll be walking around the room very softly. And when I see your attention has drifted, I'm going to just redirect you back to your mandala. Again, can you see by the time I'm finished with this group, my clients has had the opportunity to lengthen their attention span through the craft that I have brought. So again, I want to say the craft is not what we're trying to achieve. The craft is a means to an end. So maybe you want to think about your craft in these ways. And in this coming week, take one of your crafts and sit back and think, what can I use the craft for? Or maybe better, ask yourself, what do I want my clients to achieve? What pre-vocational skills can I see through their assessments, through their participation in the groups, that is most probably going to pose a problem for them, either at home, through their ADLs, IADLs, or in their work situation, and try and see how you can address these problems by using one of the crafts. All right, looking forward to unpacking another goal for you next week. In the meantime, happy facilitation.